This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with a big daily news update. I heard from Billy Graham's wife, Valerie Coleman, today that she listened to my podcast with Billy Jack Haynes last night that was all about Billy Jack Haynes, basically talking about his relationship with Billy Graham. And I would like to remind everybody in the Phoenix area or anyone that wants to pay their respects to Billy, they are having a public funeral this Thursday, June 1st at 12 p.m. at the First Life Church in Chandler, Arizona. There's a lot of news today. Rampage did a 0.11 rating on Friday. The Raw rating will be delayed because yesterday was Memorial Day. Apparently, they have made weed legal in Minnesota, which is something that Jesse Ventura has been looking to do for a very long time. So he was part of the ceremony with the current governor today, and he's still rocking the fanny pack. If anyone else notices that, Jesse Ventura is wearing a fanny pack at this political function, representing the wrestling business for sure. Uh, Ronda Rousey who was outspoken publicly before about, I guess, Vince and Triple H having a hand in booking the women's division. She spoke to the New York Post today, saying the women's division in WWE is dismally shallow. I know Ronda Rousey's a name, and I don't disagree with her about that, by the way, because a lot of their women are signed from with no experience, and there's very few women. I mean, Alundra Blaze Medusa recently did a podcast with John Paz on this channel that basically said Becky Lynch got lucky to break her nose and get a push out of that years ago. Charlotte Flair is the main one they've been behind up to this point. Now they're heavily pushing Rhea Ripley. But there's a big gap in there. Ronda Rousey never really got over huge in WWE. I wouldn't say she's more popular now than when she first signed with WWE. You guys can disagree with me if you want, but to me, her star power has greatly faded. Someone wants to see Blood Hunter in AEW. Well, I'll get into the AEW news in a little bit, but apparently Nick Aldis talked to the Metro UK, where he basically said, without saying it, that he didn't get an offer from WWE. He said, quote, "I don't want to speak too much about my conversations with WWE, and I certainly don't want to imply or suggest that I had any choice of anywhere to go. That would be disingenuous or dishonest," end quote. That seems to be a fancy way of saying WWE wasn't interested, and he had. If he's saying he doesn't want to be uh, dishonest about if he had anywhere else to go, in other words, Impact was his last choice. Somebody commenting on the great Ken Patera interview where he talked about Vince McMahon smoking weed. By the way, I talked to Tank Abbott about the discussions going on right now that apparently there's an excellent chance that Conor McGregor, who hasn't been doing much in UFC lately and lost his last fight against a guy whose name I don't even remember, might be fighting Mark Coleman in celebrity boxing. Of course, I've interviewed Mark Coleman. I really like him. I want him to have that fight. And I asked actually Tank Abbott about that today, what his thoughts are, and he would like to see that fight too. He thinks it would be very entertaining, but he says in his view, he thinks that McGregor is the better boxer, but Coleman is bigger. So it's all going to be depending on Mark's hands. So we know Mark is the godfather of ground and pound, but how is he at actual boxing? I don't know. I'd be interested to see that. That interests me more than any fight I've heard about talked about lately. I did do a poll on this channel that I brought up yesterday related to who were the best star friends that got hired by a major wrestling company. I guess you could have also said Lanny Poffo was hired in at least WCW, where he had a 3-year contract and never wrestled, but also in WWE because of the Macho Man. But I think Lanny would have been more on Beefcake's level, where Lanny was actually a good hand, and most of you fans agreed that Brutus Beefcake is the best of the favor hires. The guy that only got 7% was Dr. Luther, who apparently is still under AEW contract at 53. That was done as a favor to Chris Jericho, his buddy. And I mean, I don't blame these guys. If I had the pull and got hired somewhere for millions of dollars and could have a friend to hang out with on the road, I don't know who I would pick, but I would be all for it. But actually, the guy that I thought would get the lowest and didn't is this guy here, who's 50, is CM Punk's friend Ace Steel. And this is the guy that bit Kenny Omega and hit Nick Jackson with a steel chair in a backstage fight. And this is the guy where Collision wasn't going to happen with CM Punk in Chicago, apparently, if they didn't agree to have this guy as a remote producer. What his qualifications to be a producer are, I don't know. A lot of people are hired these days with questionable qualifications. Dr. Smith X. Well, I would love to see Mark do it. Mark is in really good shape these days, and I'm sure the payday would be really good. Tom, Tank had a liver and kidney transplant. Conor McGregor, well, he's not overrated as a draw. He's not overrated as a draw. R.I.P. to Billy Graham for sure. Great guy. And by the way, here's the new poster for the Great North Wrestling event in Smith Falls. We're no longer going to be using Ted Hart on this show. We've come to that conclusion. We just don't want to go there. And for the person asking about Piper, there you go. But Jack Kilby has already announced that Magnum McLaren is going to wrestle Carlito, and the Blood Hunter is going to wrestle Little Guido, who's also known in WWE as Nunzio. He hasn't announced Jeremy Prophet's championship opponent yet, or the girls' match. So it should be very interesting. I understand the Blood Hunter might actually wrestle twice on that card. Would the Blood Hunter accept an offer from AEW? Of course he would. Tony Khan is the best boss ever. The best boss ever. I mean, he's a great boss. But for whatever reason, there's far other people that are going to get hired before the Blood Hunter does. Even though in 2021, and I mean this in all legitimately, I don't think there was any independent wrestler in 2021 that had more YouTube hits than the Blood Hunter. And definitely no independent wrestler that got more international publicity. What happened with Teddy Hart? He's got too many issues. We don't want to deal with them. We will no longer have any association with him. We wish him luck. Blood Hunter should Ultimate fight. I don't know if they allow people with masks, but that would be interesting. Yes, Teddy's in the same club as the Goon. But anyways, guys, that's going to be a great show in Smith Falls. Thanks for tuning in. By the way, we've hit 360,000 subscribers, and I thank you all from that. I will be interviewing Tank Abbott soon, the gobbledygooker. Supposedly, the captain's going to do a live auction on this channel with the Berserker this weekend. The first time ever we have a live auction on this channel. Jack Kilby is going to be doing interviews with Baby Doll, coming up, as well as Kiwi, bunch of other people. So there's a lot going on, and we appreciate it. The black lists of wrestling, yes. I don't think AEW Dark exists, and I don't wrestle anymore. I don't wrestle. And yes, there you go. It doesn't exist because now Collision is starting in June. So they're only going to have Collision, Rampage, and Dynamite. They got rid of Dark and Elevation. And from what I understand, Rampage, which recently got like a 0.09 and lower rating, although last week it did a 0.11, it's going to be pushed down and turn into more of the Dark Elevation stuff. And Collision is going to be the second show. And Ring of Honor is going to do tapings at Collision, and Dark and Elevation are going to do tapings at Dynamite. Will Tank Abbott be live? Yes. He's a great guy. Tom, I know John Noor did sell used cars. I like him. He's great. He's great. I would think maybe one day if you ever saw Blood Hunter in a major company, which he might be a bit too controversial for major companies, you would more likely see him in AEW because they're the more extreme of the two companies, and their WWE is extremely scripted and even more corporate than AEW, so you would never see him in WWE. Dr. Tom is doing a podcast tomorrow about the dark side of the ring that he was involved with Sonny and Chris Candido, which Dark Side of the Ring debuts, I think, right now on Vice. And I found out from Dave Meltzer that the Abdullah the Butcher Dark Side of the Ring that I'm on, and Piper's also on, by the way, I hope, unless they cut Piper out, that's going to air July 25th. Get Kato and Virgil again. I don't know. I'm working on some good ones, though. But I wish everyone a good night, and thank you again for helping us reach 360,000 subscribers, over 220 million views. And yeah, Dustin, by the way, Adrian Adonis's daughter is in his Dark Side of the Ring. And if you search up Adrian Adonis' daughter, the Hannibal TV, you will find a video of me interviewing her, which, by the way, she told me that they discovered her from my channel. And the Dark Side of the Ring people said that they discovered Ken Patera for the Tales from the Territories from my channel too. They thought he was a hilarious character. And I mean, I think he is too. He just appeared with Jack Kilby. But no, I wouldn't have Piper bite Abdullah the Butcher. She did bite the Honky Tonk Man, though. I'm trying to find that picture. Oh, here it is. I'll put this picture up of Piper the Honky Tonk Man. He tried to feed her a banana. She likes bananas. And she bit him. She bit the Honky Tonk Man right after that picture was taken. Why doesn't Blood Hunter go to pro wrestling, Noah? Because the Japanese like the small acrobats now. It's not the Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, Stan Hansen days anymore. Adrian was great. Mike, yes. Pancake, she's looking at the Honky Tonk Man right now. She's in my arms. She's a bit camouflaged. But I wish everybody a great night.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button